Good evening, peeps. What's happening? Uh, just wanted to pop in here today. I wish I could have came in a little bit earlier, but unfortunately, I had to go for a little more imaging on my back, which feels a lot better. But they just want to make sure that I didn't do any further damage to my discs, which I got a bunch of them, I guess, back here, right? But anyways, I have some updates from court today from Delphi day 3, and I have no problem doing this and helping you guys out, but I could share a couple of things with you as we go through this. This is who I look at on Twitter. This is who I look at here and there. It's good to have people inside the courtroom too, to reach out to you. I haven't talked to Frank today. He's doing a live tonight. It's either at 8 or 8:30. You could check him out. He was there today in the courtroom. There was a couple other people in the courtroom too. I didn't write this down, but I want to look it up because I actually watched her today, and I've never really heard of her before. She has 206,000 subscribers. It's called Hidden True Crime. And she was there today. She actually did a thing at lunch, and she talked about a couple things. So Hidden True Crime, 206,000 subscribers. Just came across her today. I don't know if she covered any of her cases. You guys like her, don't like her, but I thought it was interesting, the little update that she had there. I actually went in and YouTube and searched Delphi live trial updates. It'll take you places. You have the local newspapers covering it, obviously, some national press. But at the end of the day, you don't have cameras in there. So we're relying on these people. And sometimes you're hearing different things coming out of there. So you got to see, okay, this place seems to be accurate. I'm going to follow them. Multiple people were reporting one thing and one other person's reporting the other thing. You kind of got to parse through it. At the end of the day, we'll be able to get all these documents. We'll be able to get all these transcripts. It's going to be a pretty penny, but they'll be released after the fact. But we kind of want to know what's going on now and what's happening today. So I have a couple things to go over. I'm going to read you or show you an article, actually. We'll do that first after I say hi. The most recent one that I found that kind of it's updates. It goes in reverse, and it talked about Saturdays. A couple of police officers, Mullen, the guy that actually saw the clothes in the water, Patrick Brown, the local resident, not the profiler lady that I really like, that discovered the girls, thought they were mannequins. Remember, we heard talk about deer and a cell phone. That hasn't come out in court. So you could see already some of the things that we thought we knew, we didn't know, and some of the things that were rumors from very early on are proven to be true. And I've always said this with Delphi. It's like one click off. Like if you're opening up your old locker in school, your combination locker, you have to get it right on or it's not going to open. So if the last digit's 40, you're 37 or 38, you're pretty close, but you're not right on. And I think as this trial plays out, you'll see a lot more of this happening. So let's say hi to everybody. Let me get right to the article. I'll show you the people that I follow on Twitter. Twitter, don't be afraid of Twitter or X. Sorry, Elon, X. I'm going to call it Twitter because I'm at the age now. I'm older. Once you hit a certain age, it's a good idea to carry an umbrella in your car. Take a jacket in case it gets cold, and you don't change names of things that you called for so long. So unfortunately, I'm going to call X Twitter, so excuse me for that. There's a lot of people on Twitter. A lot of your people that you follow and that comment have Twitters too, and they push out a lot of information. It's very easy to push out information very quickly to be seen by a lot of people. You could just bang, and it's right there, and you're getting quite a view from a lot of different people. So let's say hi to everybody. And again, I wanted to go a little bit earlier, but I had to go get actually an MRI, but I'm okay. My chiropractor is a great guy, but I have pretty good insurance, so maybe they were like, hey, Don Spain, CJK, Rescue All the Dogs, good to see you. Hather Mir, good to see you. Hope you had a good morning getting out there. I'm sure we'll see you later on Frank's. Hather or Rescue All the Dogs or whoever, if anybody knows for sure what times Frank's show starts, pop it into the chat here for me. I think it's 8 o'clock, but I could be mistaken. I talked to him yesterday. He was in his hotel. He got to see the end of the Colts game. And how about the Steelers were home underdogs last night, huh? That was easy money. They kicked the living shit out of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I like Aaron Rodgers, but he appears to not give a shit anymore about football. Running Frank around, yeah. Yeah, she was the ride for Frank this morning, which was awesome. Frank had a hotel where he could take Blade. Hopefully, Blade's cooled off a little bit, having Frank back. I assume they're back. Never a mannequin. Yeah, he said that in court. Pat Brown thought they were. He said, "What are mannequins doing out here?" But if you remember, early on there was rumors. First, there was rumors of multiple different people finding it, and I remember, to my credit on this one thing, I thought it was Pat Brown who found the girls almost since I started looking into this case, because of things that I saw, things that I knew, and just paying attention a little bit. And there's some screenshots from people from different things early on that happened. And he was a suspect for people. People who find the body's a suspect. People were having all this trouble finding his body, and he walks right up. But I don't believe that about him. I think that he was really affected by this, and it showed in court. And the news stations are covering that. They're covering the emotion of this case, right? At the end of the day, emotion doesn't matter when justice is decided. However, when you're telling this story, it's a story about human beings. I want to hear the emotion. I'm not a robot. I'm not a black-hearted person. I want to hear that. I want to feel what they felt. Up to a certain extent, to understand what's going on in that courtroom and how many people were upset by the pictures. And a couple of people said they just kind of came out, and here they were. We weren't sure if everyone was going to see them, but boom, here they are. I think there was around 44 of them today. And it kind of broke the heart of everyone in the courtroom. Media people were saying, hey, this person acted like this person acted like that. I think that is very germane to the story. It's absolutely germane to the story. You could tell the story about evidence, and this is what we have, but you could tell about that human aspect. At the end of the day, the human aspect I'm not going to say it's as important as the evidence aspect, but that's the part of the story. We're not robots. Most of us aren't. We're not robots. So we want to hear the good and the bad. So, I feel for the YouTubers that were there today, especially people that don't have experience seeing things like that. The first time you're seeing a deceased child is in a courtroom with a bunch of other people. God, it has to play a toll on you. And all these people that are going out there, I respect what they're doing, regardless of what they feel about the case and who's guilty and who's not guilty. I do appreciate that. And it's tough. It's got to be tough, what they sat through tonight. 8 p.m. for Frank. I'm sure Frank will talk about that. I'm sure anyone else that you followed that was in the courtroom will talk about that too. But Lions are rolling, JJ. Or Wolverines aren't, but your Lions are tough. That was a fantastic game yesterday with the formerly undefeated Frank will be very emotional. Yeah, I agree. Frank's people don't understand about Frank is he is an emotional guy. He's gruff and tough and everything like that, but he's a sweetheart underneath. And it had to be tough for anyone to see that. And I feel for everyone. And just imagine strangers. You're strangers to the family. You're strangers. You didn't know the girls, and you're there, and you feel that way. Imagine how bad the family feels. Even Richard Allen's family was affected, as some of the reporters said. At the end of the day, you're viewing these pictures and they're children. It's different when they're children. Right or wrong, things are treated differently when there's children involved, by the police, by fire departments, by EMS. It's different. And it's not going to say that anywhere in any law, and it shouldn't be like that, maybe technically. But I'm here to tell you it's different when you're with children. Well, yeah, and I'll show that here. One of the things that was said is he didn't move or anything like that, or didn't act like it bothered him. Whether it did or not, I'm sure that was a reaction that was coached. These attorneys aren't no dummies. Listen to me, my old English teacher's rolling over in the grave. What is up, Ruckus? Good to see you, brother. Even though your team didn't win, you guys got a quarterback. You got your quarterback. You got Drake May. No more going back to Jacoby Bigset because he can't get it done. But it's hard. So some people took umbrage with that and said, oh, who are you to judge this or that? That's part of the story, man. That's the news. That's what they do. That's what they cover. These are facts. But right here, this is what we got going on. 63 Clocks. Give some membership. Thank you so much, 63. We're going to have, that's next week, next Tuesday. So we're dead in the middle of the Delphi case. So we're probably going to do something Delphi for that members only. But I'll come up with something for you guys. And it looks like the rowing now Be on the loom trying to wave alibis. Oh, Richard Allen and Brian Koberger. Cool. Good to see you here. But let me show you what we have from court. Let me just finish saying hello to everybody. Hello, Gail. I think I got everybody. And again, I mentioned this before. I shared on my community page. I was going to come in and just do an update. I wanted to do it early in the afternoon. If you just came in, I had to go get MRI for my back, but it feels great. I'm good. So it kind of delayed me a little bit. And court is out. It got out a little bit early. It broke about 11:30, and they came back at 1. And Judge Gall said this, Judge Gall, someone have you believe she's the abominable snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Maybe she's a ball buster. She certainly could be, and she probably is, but she gave them a little bit more for lunch. She knew what these pictures were going to do to normal people that have normal hearts, jurors, bailiffs, everybody in that courtroom was affected by these pictures. And they're going to be a little bit different from when they walked in. And that's how it is. That's when you encounter these things, your psyche tries to kind of protect you, but that's how it is. But let me quit pontificating about criminal mind and how your mind works and stuff. And let me show you the updates here that I have for you guys, okay? So I have a couple things to show you and a couple questions to ask, things that I found really interesting with the court thus far. So we're going to read you the trial blog first. Wish TV. Now, everybody has a favorite station. They like Wish. They like the Fox station. They like this. They like that. I don't know. Some are good. Some are bad. Let me just check my phone to make sure we're caught up and we're all on the same page here. If you would give me 1 second. There we are. Okay, we be prepared to be here. We're not going to view any recipes. Sorry. Okay, so this is like in reverse. So the stuff at the top is the most latest stuff. Here's the picture of the. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any comment on the art here. It's bizarre. Let me just say that. I was watching Chris from Mob Crew. I think it was the first day of the trial, and he was laughing. He thought somebody was fucking with him. Like, this isn't the real picture. And then, like, he's laughing, like, oh my God. Like, this is supposed to be Richard Allen over here, like Charlie Brown. It's bizarre. But this is who they used. It's the Tag Art Group. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm not an artist, and that person can certainly draw better than me. But let me get down here. And again, we have to review. We have to go down because the latest stuff is at the top. Okay. Okay, so as you see, 9 a.m. over here, day 3 of trial set to begin. Richard Allen entered the courtroom. His stepmom, his stepdad, mom, sister, wife, and gallery, all members of Liberty German and Abby Williams family were in attendance as well. That's the people that have been there consistently. And again, in a normal day, in a normal courtroom, when this is on TV, you don't have to say all these individual little things, right? But here we don't have that. They have to paint that background picture for us. So that's why all these things are being there. If you were in a courtroom and if it was on TV, you'd see that everybody was very emotional today. But we will jump up to this. It's a little bit of going around, jumping around here, like I said, a little bit. So the state's first witness Monday was Deputy Darren Giancola. We've heard that name before, who has served as a deputy and a detective for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office since 2011. According to News 8's Kyla Russell, he told the jury he was off February 13th, not 2027, but 2017, but came to work anyway after seeing social media Liberty and Abby were missing. That's a thread that you're going to see here. People weren't working. People didn't have to do what they did, but they went out and looked. And that doesn't make them necessarily suspicious. It's a small town America. It makes them good people. But this happened time and time again. Giancola assisted in the physical searches and pointed out on a courtroom map where he started his search. Giancola began looking for the girls at midnight and couldn't see much in the woods with even using a flashlight. He noted to the jury that he saw a disturbance near the end of the high bridge where bare ground could be seen. He said he pointed it out to a nearby firefighter, but eventually ended his search at 2 a.m. Again, I'm not in the courtroom. Maybe Frank can help with this. Are they talking about the side of the hill that they went down where, there's all these foliage or whatever grown, or maybe leaves at that time, and then you see like a trail where someone slid down a hill or something like that? That is not exactly explained here. State prosecutor prosecutor, Nick McClellan, asked Giancola, at the point of the ended search, 2 a.m., were you investigating murder? No, adding he didn't believe anything bad had happened to the girls at that point. That's a common thread through law enforcement. They didn't think that of the worst right there. And, maybe, law enforcement's in that. Well, in that area, in that time, things like that didn't happen. If it's New York City, maybe you worry more. But it was unclear what had happened to them. But this was the last thing they thought that they were going to see. All these law enforcement officers. He was later sent to an address to ask questions about the girls and received a call from a person named Liggett to go to the Morning Light Cemetery. We were told somebody had found something, possibly bodies, near the creek. So the cemetery at the top of the hill becomes base of operations, or what we will call in emergency services a staging point, right? Or a forward command post. This is more of a staging point, a rally point. So you're not going to have fire trucks and police cars get down that hill and park at that scene. You can't do it. You have to have a place, especially with a crime scene, where everybody comes in. We know who comes into the crime scene. We know who goes out of the crime scene. We've now begun to secure the crime scene. And this is the very beginning of that staging point or that rally point. Giancola said after, this is very important right here. Please listen to what he says right here. Giancola said that after arriving at the creek, he was shown Liberty German's tie-dye shirt and shoes found in the creek. Someone then informed him the girls' bodies were behind him. He said he could not see the bodies when walking to the creek, but saw something white. He later said those were the bodies of Abby and Libby. So, again, this is at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit before. He can't see them unless he's on top of them. I told you guys that. It's so difficult down there to see or navigate anything. I doubt that anyone walked through that area that night. Maybe they'll come up in the court and say that they did. That hill is like, it goes from like where the creek is to the top of that hill. It's got like 80, 100 feet. And it's a gradual grade, but man, it is like a cliff. And where they were, there was a little bowl there. Like they were, purposely placed in this little bowl for concealment. And when I say it was a little bowl, there's like a big washway, or, maybe where water travels or runs down. And then there's like a little bit of a basin, and they were laid right into that basin. We were, I have video of standing there. There's a tree. There's 2 trees that are marked right there. And again, if you're looking at videos, old videos of the creek, and this is how I actually found the tree while I was on the ground there. There's a tree that's sticking out almost a 90-degree angle. I don't know why it's growing that way. If the hillside's falling and it was growing up, now it's going out. Look for that tree. Directly from that tree, almost probably 30 yards, roughly, don't quote me on the number, is where they were discovered. So Giancola makes it a point to say, listen, even though I walked past them and I still didn't see them until I got really close. So this is in the daytime. This is an experienced police officer. So when people say, oh, they had to find him that night, I think that's just a load of horse shit, guys, for me personally. I can't imagine how dark that place is at night. It's hard to see in the day, stuff on the ground. But at night, Giancola said he recognized them based on the pictures and the states of the girls' bodies. He did not perform any life-saving measures. It was apparent they were deceased. What we have here in Pennsylvania, as we say, it's an obvious code 0. Code zeros are only allowed to be called, and I've talked about this in Flora, with if a body is literally like mummified or something like that, you don't have to be a paramedic to call that. You could say right there, hey, this is no longer alive. He then called officers to close off the area, make sure no one came around. Giancola stayed at Deer Creek scene remainder of February 14th. Said he did not leave till sunrise on February 15th. So he's there from roughly 11:30 a.m. noon until the next day sunrise. So he's there for like 20 hours, okay, 20 hours. Defense attorney Andrew Baldwin became the cross-examine Giancola, asking questions about Giancola's search timeline, the area where the girls were found, and to better explain what the bodies look like. Giancola was also asked why the gun he was carrying, or asked what gun he was carrying at the scene. It was a Glock 17 9mm. Gun was mentioned by the defense to establish groundwork for future arguments. So the defense is going to ask every cop what kind of gun they carried. One of these cops, or probably more than one of these cops, are going to carry that 40 cal. Although that was an older cop gun, but we'll see. So they laid that out. One of the things that I want to talk about after I read through this article is you could tell where both sides are going. They keep asking, well, did Libby have a loud voice? They're going to say, why didn't she yell? So they're laying out their stuff. The state's laying out their stuff too, because they talk about how they secured a crime scene here. Now, again, I have to go back up to the next thing because this is put in like a true blog type thing. So the most latest stuff is at the top. There's only a couple other things to read, and I'm going to jump back into chat and see what you guys are talking about. Excuse me. The state's second witness was Police Sergeant Jason Page, a law enforcement officer for 24 years and crime scene investigator for 16. Page secured and photographed the scene in Delphi. Page described the area behind the tape as the size of a softball field, but focused on the area where Abby Williams and Liberty German were found were called Ground Zero. That's not uncommon. 0 point, you hear different things. Like this is the middle of everything. And then from here on out is where we measure, and here on out, go mile out, way mile, whatever you're going to do to block the scene off. Of the 45 states exhibits shown to the jury during Page's testimony, 42 were crime scene photos, which included several images of Abby and Libby's bodies, as well as other evidence at the scene. Family members of both girls and Richard Allen were emotional. Remember, that says family members of both girls and Richard Allen, so it means they're family members. Most of the courtroom struggled watching. According to News 8's Kyla Russell, Libby's mother cried. Libby's young sister started looking away from exhibits most of the time. Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, held hands as the photos were shown. That's the human aspect of the story. That's what you would see in court if you were able to watch it. So that's why these things are added in. And for me, it's very pertinent to the story. You know, we're not robots. Upon seeing a close-up image of the girls, Richard Allen's mother began to cry, Russell reports. Following the crime scene photos and brief comments of the crime scene photos, court was dismissed for lunch. So now they break. It's roughly, I think, around 11:30, 11:40 their time, maybe. So it says 12:27. So let's get up to the next guy, because there's been some consternation about this next thing here, okay? I've seen some people saying, "Oh, there was no." What they'll do, investigators will do what's called a rape kit if a girl, woman or man, if they discover or they think there's a possible SA in that situation. That's never done at the scene. It's done at the hospital. Usually done at where I am. It's done at the ER, or ER does it. And if it's on deceased, it's done at the medical examiner's office. We have a medical examiner, coroner, or whatever. So let's get to that, because this is a direct quote. Some people are misquoting this. So I want to read this to you. And again, we weren't in there. Look to hear from Frank later, whoever else was in there that maybe could just dial this in and fix the clarification on this, because people are running wild with this. Page said it was not his job to determine the girl's times of death. When asked an opinion when it may have happened, I guess they say, "Hey, do you know when this happened?" "Hey, I'm an investigator. I'm a sergeant. I'm here to, secure the scene or to do what I need to do to CSI the scene," however it is. "Do you know if a rape kit test was given?" Rozzi said. Response from Page was, "I would assume so. I wasn't there." So people have taken that and said there was no rape kit done. I mean, that's other people have reported in that same courtroom that was the conversation. So this is this conversation. You're going to see others, maybe one other site that I saw that said that it wasn't confirmed. But now I have a thing from her that I'm going to show you where she fixed that. Angela Ganote initially says that. People ran wild with it, but she has fixed that. She's added a amendment to that to explain better what she said. It's not what she meant at all. Rozzi next asked about the sticks on the bodies. Page said he's seen other death investigations where bodies had sticks placed over them. Page said in Delphi, a human appeared to have placed the sticks over the bodies. Keep this in mind, too. Don't quote me on the exact number, but roughly 70 to 75% of people that are murdered and left outside, there's some kind of covering attempted, even if it's a quick, haphazard thing, just to let that person get away a little further. That's a primal thing that works on us. If I could get away a mile away, I'm going to get away with this. That's kind of how our brain works primally. And the lady that I mentioned before, God, I wish I would have wrote her name down. I'll find it. Hold on. She said the same thing. In her opinion, hidden true crime. It didn't look like staging. It looked like an attempt to cover the bodies up, which I thought initially. You have things making X's over top. I think he was making like a hunting blind, and he was going to cover them up. But what he was going to do with it, I have no idea. Or if he was just trying to cover this up so I can get away from here. But I thought all along that's what he was doing. But again, hidden true crime, she doesn't see any kind of, odinistic things or anything like that, which they can argue, but maybe they will. Who knows? But they're just laying this out. But I find the next part interesting, though. Rozzi next asked about sticks placed. Page said okay, we did that. Rozzi asked about the depth of Delphi Creek, the size of footprints found, the blood around the area where the bodies were found, and about information on the hair in Abby's hand. Paige responded, "You're asking questions out of my knowledge." So we know that there was a footprint from the testimony Saturday for the guy who saw the stuff in the water. So people are running wild with this. So if you ask a turn lieutenant, let's say, who's running a shift in court about something that one of his patrolmen did and he wasn't there, he's not going to know that. So are Rozzi and Baldwin just going to ask these same questions to everybody? What kind of guns you carry? How come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do this? Eventually, they're going to get the answer. That was not in this guy's purview. That wasn't his job to do this. So he said, "You're asking questions out of my knowledge." Page also revealed that he was not aware of any DNA found at the scene. Page later explained his job was the 14th law enforcement officer to arrive at the scene, was preserve the area through photography. So this guy was taking pictures. You're asking a photographer these questions. He's not going to have the answer to those questions. Prosecutors called next Indiana State Police Sergeant Dwayne Datsman, a crime scene tech, to the stand. He's now retired. He was the CSI at the Delphi murder scene. He has 20 years experience visiting hundreds of crime scenes. Datsman talked about more than a dozen, talked about, easy for me to say, more than a dozen photos of the crime scene. He talked about where blood was found on and near the girls' bodies. He also noted glitter was found on leaves on the ground. He also talked about photos of the gun cartridge found near one of the girls' bodies. He said he did not disturb the cartridge. Datsman also said that the sticks on the bodies were of no evidentiary value and did not have blood on them. The sticks were later placed in evidence. So they didn't take the sticks. That was true. We heard that before. We weren't sure. They didn't take the sticks. They said there's no evidentiary value. They went back in later and took the sticks. So that does not make the police look good. Take fucking everything, right? Dig dirt, take land, strip it if you have to get everything that you need to get. And they didn't do that. So there's the defense whittling away at things. They found a string. So maybe they're going to pull on that string a little bit more, and that would be their job to do that. But they thought at that time there was no evidentiary value to those sticks. I say in a situation like this, man, take everything. You know what I mean? So basically after that, it's 3:08 and they go on their break. All right. Let me see what you guys have to say, and then I will show you a couple other things. That was today's, this morning and this afternoon. That was basically what today in court was. For Delphi, it was a little shorter day, and again, it was a hard day. It was a hard day for everybody there. You guys have been chatting your asses off, which is fantastic. Holy mackerel. All right, there we go. Just looking for comments. What notes could RA have possibly needed to write? Well, you know what, Cindy? It could be a technique that's used. They could tell him when these pictures are up to look down and write something, so you don't look a certain way. That's a coached up. That's good attorneying. They know what they want him to do when those pictures are up there. So maybe that's something that they wanted to say. Listen, whenever they show these pictures, just write your name 50 times, or write "I love the Pittsburgh Steelers," which Richard Allen probably doesn't do, or something like that. But yeah, CJK with the shoulder. Hope everything's going good with you there. Yeah, they did. They were in other places. I saw that the jury was very uncomfortable, and it's. Listen, if you have people that are, they're bank tellers, they work in a store, whatever, they're not used to seeing these things. Even experienced law enforcement, emergency service people, you see these things, it still stops you. I mean, it absolutely stops you. Oh, another phone call, no problem. JJ. Yeah, I saw that too. Listen, YouTube's a free platform, and she has an audience for it, and that's all fine by her. But I just wanted to be clear that on that situation there, I feel the total opposite. I want to know the human aspect. I want to know that I'm not a robot. But hey, to each his own. You know what I mean? That's perfectly fine. Free country, and it's a free platform. It definitely would too. And again, initially, when everyone jumped on those crime scene photos that were leaked and said, look, there's no blood, there's no this, there's no that. You saw 2 or 3 pictures out of hundreds. So all those things that people were saying, it clearly isn't true. There's clearly blood at the scene. One girl has more blood on her than the other, but they both have blood on them. It's not pristine. I don't know where the pristine thing came from, other than if one of the witnesses said pristine was like, it was like the sun was shining. It's this undisturbed patch down there, and it is. It's like a really rural, primitive, let's fish a little bit, or like, have a couple beers, smoke a jam or whatever, and just enjoy the scenery. Maybe that's what they meant. But no one's alleging that anymore, including the defense. But one of the things that the defense wants to say is, if there's a lot of blood there, it blows their theory out of the water that girls were taken away, unless they had milk jugs with their blood or something and did all this. So you're going off into the fucking 15th power with an argument, instead of just saying, no, look, here's how it was. Here's why it ponded this way. Here's why it puddled this way. Here's why it ran this way. And it's, yeah. Well, that's at least good. They had that blurred out. And some of those pictures, I'm pretty sure, were the pictures that people have seen. Hey, Captain, good to see you. Looking forward to some more videos. Hopefully for Halloween. Some of them videos you put up are pretty fucking wild. The one where you were looking around for stuff in that house, I was like, at first I thought it was a joke. Then I'm like, Jesus Christ, get out of there. I'm yelling at you like you're on Friday the 13th. Get out of there, Captain. Anyone ever going camping know the struggle, go to the bathroom? Yeah. I'm not a big camper. And especially with my back now, I don't know if I'll ever lay on the ground outside again unless I have to. The defense is going to victim blame, caught a comment. Yeah, well, they asked a lot about Libby's voice. And I think what they're going to say is, how come no one heard her scream? I'm guessing at that, Cindy. That's just a guess for me. But they are laying that out. Nick McClelland's laying out the crime scene was covered. We had it covered to the 19th. So everyone says, oh, it was closed and they redid it. No. It was all there. It was all taken care of. There was a white tent there. And so we're finding out tidbits that we knew early on, or we thought we knew early on, aren't true. And other rumors that we knew are true. So as we continue forward, like if you're a ship going down a river and you got all this stuff on this ship, the further down a river you go, things fall off. So when you get to the end of the river, it's just the ship. All your cargo's gone, all that's gone. And we just have the ship's going down. It's the story. It's what happened. She was definitely deserved to be shown her dignity. It's heartbreaking. The news is coming out of court. Yeah, it is. It's I do feel bad for Richard Allen's family too. Let me be clear on this. Even if I believe he's guilty, and if he's found guilty, I mean, you don't think his mom's going to blame herself, his stepdad? Like, hey, what could we have done? And from all accounts, nothing. From all accounts, nothing. He didn't have the grow up like Richard Ramirez or anything like that. He didn't have his real father. He had his stepfather, but he was treated well. He wasn't abused in any way, shape, or form. We haven't seen any of that or anything like that. If we ever do see anything like that, if he's found guilty and there's a sentencing, they may pull some things out like that. 2 or 3 feet deep. Yeah, there was certainly a bullet there. Now, do they have a video or a picture of them pulling it out of the ground? No, they don't. It doesn't sound like they do. It doesn't mean that it's planted. We know another theory was someone came back and found it 2 weeks later. Someone said Mike Patty found it. All those things are easily provable horseshit now. But they're going to attack how they took it out of the ground. So if they could convince the jury, hey, we don't have a picture of this. Maybe they did this. Maybe they did that. Maybe they broke into Richard Allen's house, took the bullet, boom, put it there, whatever. If they can work that and they can get the jury to believe that, then that's what they do. But I don't know if there's pictures of it coming out of the ground. I haven't seen anything to that effect yet. Whoops. Sorry. Only RA Innocence Project is cool with having 2 timelines. Well, that's interesting you say that, because he doesn't have 2. He has 3. Richard Allen has 3 timelines. What a segue for my new member. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Richard Allen has 3 timelines. He's given 3 different timelines now. It's just a perfect time to do this. So let me open up my Gmail again and I'll show you Richard Allen's 3 timelines. Which one should we believe, right? Which one should we believe? I haven't seen anyone talk about this yet, and I really think that they should be. Okay, so this is from the PCA. Now, you could say that Richard Allen didn't say this. Dolan doesn't have a recording. He made all this up. Okay, fine. But originally, Mr. Allen was at the trail. Mr. Allen was on the trail. So this is Richard Allen told Dolan. This is from the PCA, straight from the PCA, 1330 to 1530. Now, including myself, even though I've worked for 23 years in the fire service, and that's how we are given times. I'm not a military guy, so I can't tell exactly what that is right away. But just remember, it goes from 1230. 1:30 is not 1:30, it's 13:30. So he's there from 1:30 to 3:30, parks at the Farm Bureau building, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I want you to look at. This is what he told Dolan, okay? That's the day after the girls go missing, before Bridge Guy picture goes out. This is just recent here. This is just recent. This was an opening argument. Baldwin said the prosecution claims Abby and Libby were dead at 4 p.m. and their bodies were never moved. He said the prosecution puts Allen in a parking lot at the Delphi trail at 1:30, but his cell phone data shows he was gone by 2:15. Number 2, 2:15 now. 2:15 now, okay? Number 3, Richard Allen, in his interview, told he probably left the trail around 1:30 in his affidavit. So this is the same time as the first one. This is the same time as the first one, but this is the first meeting, the October 13th meeting. You know what? I didn't email myself. I didn't email myself the October 26th meeting. That's where his third different time is, on October 26th. Richard Allen told Liggett he probably left the trail around 1:30. His affidavit, Liggett states Richard Allen, blah, blah, blah. So he tells people one thing. The defense themselves have said 2 different things. We don't know what Richard Allen we never heard Richard Allen say, but Baldwin here says, right here, boom, Farm Bureau building. And this is from the Franks memo, guys. That's what this is from. This is from the Franks memo. So they talk about that interview there. This was the first interview. Because remember, the second interview, the first interview, October 13th, was Liggett and Mullen. The 26th interview was with Holman. So what do we think about that? These multiple different times. Which one are they going to eventually go with? Which one are they going to hone in on? Yeah, those are all I have there. That's all I had to share. But what do we think about that? And I wonder if anyone ever caught that or noticed that, because I'm just going back and looking over things and thinking, wow. One of the other things was they said that the lost Richard Allen tip has been explained, and whether it's a good explanation or not, it's a crazy explanation. And Tom Webster had the lady, was calling her the Shankster. I think her name is Shank or Shank, Shenk. She's like a secretary or something. She's going through tips. He was listed as Richard Allen, a Whiteman by Dolan. Dolan's a DNR officer. They have classes on how to interview people, but they're not very investigative, people and interview-wise people. It was all hands on deck that day. So you couldn't have cops. They're, been on 20 years, been interviewing people. So something happened with this. Dolan will come to the stand. He's going to have to explain this, and he's going to have to do a good job of explaining this, right? So people that are attacking the police and saying that this investigation's fucked up, there's merit to it. Listen, there's merit to it. They have to come clean and say this is what happened. But just because the police investigation is fishy doesn't mean Richard Allen's an innocent man. A guilty man can walk here if the cops fucked up. And if this court goes to show that, and they screw this investigation up and they can't, we can't verify this, we can't verify that, heads need to roll, but they won't. But heads should roll. Heads should roll in those departments. They absolutely should if these things happen. But at the end of the day, again, opening argument. The only thing Baldwin says is Richard Allen's phone says why don't you just tell us where he was at? Tell us where he was. In the Franks motion, part 1, you attacked 5 different people's alibis, but you never offer an alibi for yourself, for your guy. I don't understand it. Koberger said he was stargazing, right? Sounds like horse shit. It probably is horse shit, but he has something, right? OJ had an excuse, but Richard Allen doesn't. They haven't laid that out. And they're not going to be a bombshell in court because they leaked everything they had to make Richard Allen look guilty. That is an opinion by me, the last part. The defense has leaked to the public everything they had to make Richard Allen look not guilty. That is my opinion. That's my guess, because they put it out hard. Instead of just saying, yeah, he was at his mom's house. She can verify. His phone's on her Wi-Fi. We don't have any of that. So it just makes it so interesting to me. And Baldwin and Rosie are going down the road of, hey, we're going to asking about Libby's voice. Did she stand up for people? Did she do this? She did that? Why didn't she yell here? Why didn't she? I don't know. Because there was a gun on him? I don't know. But it seems like that they're going down that route. And Nick McClellan knows that they're going to come after that crime scene and they're going to try to chew it up. Well, they said as much. It isn't like it's going to be a sneak attack. They're coming after it. So he's laying out, yes, we had this since I think it was the 19th. We had a big white tent up. We had this. We didn't take the sticks right away, but no one else had access to them. I don't know why they didn't take the sticks. They should have strip that whole area. Take the ground. Take everything. Where else were we? Yeah, so with the crime scene, remember initially, the Franks, there's no blood there. I mean, that part of the Franks memo is proven to be absolute and total horse shit, hasn't it? It's horse shit, that part. Maybe they didn't get the pictures by then because they were still saying we haven't gotten discovery yet, and they haven't. But now you look back at that Franks memo, and it kept twisting and twisting, 4, 5, 6. There was a couple of motions that were made today. I'm not expert on that. There was a lady that thinks she's a YouTuber and an attorney. She tried to get in with some kind of access. I believe that was denied. Then there was a motion in Lemony where they don't want them to play the video, of the guy who isn't their client. And they said police edited and looped or twisted it or whatever, but they don't want that video played in court. Now, the defense says that's not our guy, but they don't want the video played in court. You would think like, man, play the motherfucker. Play it on repeat. Leave it up because that ain't Richard Allen. So they don't want to hear the voice. They don't want voice comparisons. What did the girls say? Did the girls say gun? Was it the They said it was like they couldn't tell what they said. So that was their way to get that thrown out. The judge, I'm pretty sure, has already ruled on that and said bupkis and said it's in. The other thing is this too, and I just told you about Officer Giancola there. Had a hard time seeing the bodies in the daytime. So if you want us to believe that they took these girls out of here, murdered them off-site, collected their blood, because you had to dump it at the crime scene because there was blood at the crime scene. The girls were wet. There was blood at the crime scene. So they would have had to do that, taking that all the way out, somehow transported their blood back. And how they would get the girls down this hillside, they'd had to carry them because only Libby had kind of drag marks, and she was drugged 7 feet, right? We know that from Cicero, and he's going to probably hammer that in tomorrow. That's going to be hard testimony to listen to too. But how do you get down this hill? I know we've rescued people over hills before at night. Granted, we're the fire department. We're not trying to hide anybody. And we're only talking maybe a third of the way of that hill. We may be ladies 20 foot down. Boom, 2 firemen go down, Stokes basket, clip her in, give her a med check, this and that. And then you have anywhere from 4 to 6 people up top on that rope. You have something tied off to a bomb-proof anchor. You have your pull line. You have your static line or whatever. That's a big deal, right? You would have had to carry these girls down that hill in the dark where you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. And I just don't see, I think that that's absolutely absurd. And maybe a lot of people might say, oh, Coach Kev, you shouldn't say that. If you have been to that crime scene and if you believe that this could have happened, I would just heartily disagree with you. Now, if you've never been to that crime scene and you say, hey, Coach, you shouldn't say that, I understand because you haven't been down there, but you're like in the pit looking up. It is beyond bizarre. I mean, it is absolutely just wow. You know what I mean? So I just don't see that that's possible for the same reason that they didn't find the girl. So some people are saying, oh, yeah, you could have found the girls there. They should have seen them. They were over there and they were telling people to go a different way. Oh, yeah, you could have brought the bodies back. You could not have at night. Not without some kind of rope rigging system or something like that. You would have had to set up, goddamn, not even a 2-to-1. You might have had a guy to have I don't even know, like a 6-to-1 to get that. There's a lot. You're going to need a lot of rope too, like hundreds of feet of rope. Even though you recycled a rope and it moves through a closed system, you're going to need a fuckload because that's such a draw. And again, it was hard to traverse in the daytime. I had to slide down a couple hill on my butt to get down there. And lastly, the last thing I'd like to say, I'm going to get to some comments and let you guys get out of here. The pagan Odinist, or as they said in the Frank's memo, that according to them was award-winning, the rocks, or Odinites, which are rocks. The rocks, did this to the girls. So Cicero, who is again going to testify tomorrow, he testified at the 3-day hearing. Basically, the way that the killer left the girls was not the way they were found. Libby was propped up against a tree and later fell over. And they could tell that by the gravity. Libby was deceased. Her heart wasn't pumping blood, but the gravity kind of pushed it down her face. He's going to testify to that tomorrow. So again, that's another thing to the Odinist ritual. That's not how they were found. So if you want to make these runes or whatever, you have to have her up against that tree before she slowly falls over, assuming she slowly falls over after the killer leaves the scene. And that's what Cicero laid out. And I don't know if he's going to come tomorrow, but I think they're going to get this. I mean, they're into it now, so I would expect to see the video tomorrow, and maybe Cicero and some other police talking about the scene, coroner, doctor, something like that. So I don't know that for sure. Russ McQuaid, who's a guy that I cover. Oh, shit. Did I not send you this? I wanted to show you this too. Russ McQuaid, he's a guy with the hat. I've been a little critical of him on Flora from time to time, but it is what it is. Let me show you this note too about the other thing where Angie Ganote has corrected her initial statement. I thought I sent that out. I guess I did not. So I'm sending it to myself right now, and I'll show it to you. Originally, they said there was not a rape kit done. So she basically took it the wrong way, I guess. And she corrects herself here. Let me pull this back up one more time for you. Yeah, Twitter. If you go to Twitter and you just type in Delphi or type in Richard Allen trial, and you could look for the best overall or the most recent. And I look up most recent because you got a lot of YouTubers that are there. They don't have a ton of followers, so they're not going to get into the real big part of the algorithm there. Okay. So initially is what she said here. Bullet found, not easy to see. It was found using a blue light, which I didn't mention to you before. But anyways, this is her response to the question of was there a rape kit done. People were taking her report and saying there was no rape kit done. Just as an emphasis here, what is typed here is from Ellie investigator who said he personally did not know if a rape kit was done. If he was not in the room, he can't say yes, there was one done. We are talking you through what is happening witness by witness. Also, since we can't have cameras or audio detailing everything in the courtroom, everything is coming to our team through multiple humans writing and listening and sharing their notes. And that's what she's right? She's right. But just so you know, if you see that tonight and someone says there was no rape kit done, it might not have been done. I would assume there's one done, but based on today's testimony, there's no proof of that. And that is not what Angie meant to say. And again, for them, this is different too. There's usually stuff on TV or they can listen or they can record. They can go back and write their story. So now what you have is reporters from, maybe Fox and CNN out there together, just an example, and saying, what did you hear? What did we hear? So it's interesting, but I'm going to cut out of here. I didn't want to stay too long. I wanted to give you a brief update. Go to Twitter, follow Frank Meister, follow Turbo, follow Deb. If there's people that you follow and you trust for court information, continue to follow them. And have a thought for them too. Tom Webster's fantastic. God, is he fucking funny with his dry sense of humor. I love it. Smart ass humor. Like I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. My girlfriend likes him too. But have thoughts for your people on YouTube today that sat through that saw that. Whether they're used to it or not, for the police, for the judge, for the bailiffs, for the janitor, everyone in that building. And just think about those people, how they feel. And think about how much worse the family feels seeing their loved one like that. And they knew they had to do it. And they're strong people and they got through it, right? And they got through it. And again, for there's people that want to blame them. I hope you find your peace. Anyone that blames the Patties, I hope you find your peace, because what you do doesn't reflect on them; it reflects on you. And again, the defense team there's no kind of allegations. They had Kelsey on the stand, and there was no kind of, oh, did you play this and do this, and did you drop a book off a bed one time? None of that. So all that's been proven out as horse shit, as we said before. But again, YouTube's a free platform. People are going to do what they want. People are going to watch what they want, and I don't want to stop that in any way. How so? The sticks? Well, that's what the crime tech said. They had no evidentiary value because they didn't have blood on them initially, but they went and took them after. I'm not a crime scene crypt text, but I would rather them taking them sticks. I'd rather them strip that ground. Where you have to bring that machine, it literally strips the ground, and you take it with you. Every hindsight's 2020, but they didn't take them right away. But from what I could tell, the crime scene was still secured until the 19th. When they went back to get the sticks, it was still secured. But no, they did not take them right away. And for people to say they have an issue with that and that's bothersome, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. They got zero evidence from the sticks. Yeah, hopefully they didn't, right, Ruckus? Probably not. But look, when they're incorporated into the theory like the Odinist thing, and then you look at the police and say they didn't take the sticks, it could look bad. I get it. BB, what is up? And congratulations to your brother. Or maybe not congratulations to your brother, depending on how everyone feels about marriage. Cryptex has a cool channel. Always like to check him out. He all has different people on there all the time. I heard he put his glasses on. Oh, I don't know about that, Shelly. If he did, it's like the first time he's used those glasses. I have not heard that, Miranda. I've not heard that Richard Allen was laughing. Now, could he have laughed from the time he went in the courtroom to the time he left? Yeah, maybe. But if we're talking about during the pictures, I haven't seen anyone report him laughing. There was reports of family members laughing over the weekend so hard that they had to put their heads down, Richard Allen's family members, from people in court. But I have not seen anything like that today. And again, maybe when they first walked in 2 minutes into court, Baldwin drops a pen and headbutts Rozzy and Allen laughs or something like that. When this is all said and done, there's a funny story talking about Richard Allen laughing. I'll let them tell it. But he laughs at Jinx and Turbo. And I hope they don't get mad for me for saying it, but I'll let them tell the story. But he laughs at Jinx and Turbo kind of, they have like a moment in court. And it's just like something happens over here. He happens to see it, and he looks at them too and kind of laughs. But I'll leave that for another day, and I'll leave that for that story. I can't say that, though, about him. If RA was unaffected by HD pictures. Yeah, it's hard to gauge that. And like, listen, I'm certainly no profiler. John Douglas is in that courtroom. He watches him. Our Pat Brown, not Delphi's Pat Brown. And there's many other people, Robert Ressler, rest of the soul. They're going to be able to tell things from that. So we're hearing secondhand other people's opinions and impressions of them. And that's important. I want to hear that, but I don't know. I can't say anything without knowing for sure. Unacceptable on the sticks, cryptex. I would agree with you on that. If there's an evidentiary standard that we don't collect, trees or things like that, unless that there's blood on them. And I guess that's what this guy was leading at. We didn't take him from other scenes. We didn't take him from here. I hope at least that they've changed that. If you find these people in the woods and there's sticks on top of them, take the sticks. But I would have rather them taking them too. 100% cryptex. I wonder when the hair in Abby's hand was found. It was found that day. That's now come out. It was tested right away. It was a woman's. And now past that point, I don't know what happened. But I would think that it could be Kelsey's, could be anyone's. But it just goes to show you that Baldwin put that out, knowing it had nothing to do with, like, it was not going to let Richard Allen off. It wasn't another guy's hair. It wasn't Patrick Westfall's beard hair. It wasn't Elvis Fields' nose hair. It wasn't any of those things. But did it spark debate, didn't it? Baldwin's no dummy, man. He's a very smart guy. Thank you, 63, for whatever point I made that you liked. Haven't heard testimony that their hands were bagged yet. No, I haven't heard that before. Do you mean bagged by the killer? Or do you mean bagged like evidentiary collection, lady? You're going to have to Explain that to me a little bit better. How many times have we heard the typical run-of-the-mill tale as old as time where the perp brings victims back by night, kidnapping when the search? Yeah, that's a good one. Not too many. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre theory. The investigator said DNA not found on trees. Well, well, he said they weren't found on these trees or ever found on trees. Yeah, well, you know what? You have your fight or flight kicks in, and that takes over. But if the gun's pointed at you, and if maybe the guy's saying, "Hey, listen, just come with me here. I'm not going to hurt you. If you yell, I'm going to. If you scream, I'm going to, do this or do that." And they're two teenagers. They're two teenagers looking down a barrel of a gun. I know others disagree, but cameras should have been allowed in the courtroom greatly. I agree 100%, Brandon. I wish they were. Judge Gall felt a certain way. And listen, she is in her purview. If you don't like what she did, that needs changed at the Indiana Capitol, not with her. You need to lobby for that. You need to get people. You need to sign your petitions, not for this case, but for the next case that happens. And I agree, but I get where she's coming from. From the very first time that a courtroom was in there, someone swung that camera. It was a court TV, swung the camera and got stuff on there they shouldn't have gotten. And then you got people speaking, like trying to sneak in with spy kids' glasses. And I didn't realize I had them on. Okay. But you have all these things. You have people that we know, and I don't know if the court knows, that had a phone probably in her bra and was recording things. We've all heard about it before. We know what people have been doing. So at the end of the day, absolutely. I like the shock, the scream, all those things. It could be both. It could be the same. Well, when you scream, so if I would yell from the bridge, you could hear me at the crime scene. But if no one's at that bridge, and remember, we talk about the water. The water was it 2.5 or 3 feet high, but the discharge was going pretty good. So again, when you see that discharge, that's like the stream movement. So you could kind of gauge a mile per hour for water, and people that are much, much smarter than me can figure out that math equation, and I can't. So that water is going to cause noise too. So I don't know. And you know what? The cold, when it's warmer, it seems like things carry better. I know with baseballs they do. I don't know if that's true with voice or not. 8.3 timelines. Yeah, I didn't have the picture of the third timeline, but basically it is. But the real timeline, I think, is what he told Dolan. But the defense has offered 2 separate timelines, one in a Frank's motion and one in the opening. Clearly separate times. Why steel and plant? Yeah, I don't know. Well, if they want us to believe that, Rock, this had to be picked. So this is a 5-year conspiracy, and the best guy you come up with is Richard Allen. Maybe they're right. Maybe they are idiots, because that's not a good guy to go with. I agree wholeheartedly with you on that. And return it. Yeah, it's just, but again, we know now for a fact that bullet was there. No one found it. Mike Patty wasn't in a canoe rowing down. Like, none of those things were going down. Oh, no problem, Marine. I'm just trying to update things that happened in court today. Now, there's been people that were in court. They're going to have better scoop than me. I'm going after a couple of people told me, and from some media outlets. And some of the media outlets, they're getting things, they're kind of going at each other with different things. I know, gun pointed at me. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And the girl, people, these guys, the girls would have split up. Like, if you're a 14-year-old girl, you put yourself back in there and see if you'd have split up. See how tough you'd have been. And maybe the girls didn't want to separate from each other. We've heard that before. I've heard that a couple times. And I don't know. Maybe that was like they were letting out something there. Someone could have got away, but they wanted to stay. Without pictures, yeah, they could create doubt with it. They could try to create doubt with it, but at the end of the day, is this a standard? Like the ISP say, hey, look, in 2017, we didn't take pictures of any bullets coming out of the ground. We took a picture of it in the ground, and then boom, here it is over here. Yeah, the Shankmeister. That's the lady who found the tip. And if you got, that was Saturday, I think I came out. Yeah, they're talking about the police, CJK. Absolutely, they need to explain that. Hey, listen, this is what we did here, and we went this way. But we know would have went that way, but we didn't do this. I agree. Alan told us where he was. His evidence was photographed, collected, bagged. The chain of custody was established. Yeah, well, they're going to put that out, and that's what I hope to see, Rock, for them to say that too. Bets for all the liver spots. Didn't Abby take the picture of BG? Yeah, 213, I think was the picture. 100% Abby took that picture. That picture is 100% taken on the Monon High Bridge, 213, 213. Because people get into the numbers or whatever. But yes, that picture is from the bridge, 1,000,000%. And people were saying it was this, it was that. It's not. And the defense has never challenged that either. I'm just catching up. Cryptex asking about the sticks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the standard was then. Maybe they're going to tell you we don't take sticks off. I don't know. Looking back now, I'm sure they wish they would have and just said, look, we told you there was nothing on them, but you got to take them for that. Ruckus saying, not saying they shouldn't have taken them. Definitely should have, but yeah. No harm, no foul, but it's something that the defense could attack. It's a string they could pull on. You know what I mean? Going to finish up a couple more questions and then get out of here. There was a festival of cars parked backed up against the CPS building. As original timeline, 0 cars. I'm not parked against CPS building as people don't park. I have a picture. Someone sent me a picture of what supposedly is his car parked there. And it's backed in. And it's a black, and the building's still there. And it's a black, what the hell, Focus. Well, here's the thing, too. Again, that from what I could tell from the testimony today, that crime scene was locked down till the 19th. So even though they didn't initially take the sticks, as long as they took the sticks before the 19th, they're still, that crime scene is still locked down. The absolute opposite of what they did to Flora. The Flora crime scene was a fucking drive-through movie theater. People were in and out of there like it was 7-Eleven. Crime scene sticks were collected on the 15th. Oh, I haven't seen that exact date. Thank you for that. 337. I haven't saw Mata say that either. Fight, freeze. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the primal things, the fight or flight response. And I found out through the PTSD diagnosis that there's a tick in my flight or fight response, but it doesn't mean I'm like fucked up. Maybe it does mean I'm fucked up and I just don't know it. But things, you know, for me, the baseline's here and I'm just a little bit up here at times. So photograph. Next day, but 2 weeks later. No, there was no 2 weeks later, I don't think, Cryptex. I don't believe, even with the sticks, I don't believe they went back and got those 2 weeks later. But I don't know that for sure, though. I don't know that for sure. My understanding is it was between then and the 19th. Oh, my. Well, glad you didn't. Goodness gracious. Anyone think he'll change his plea? I did up until Friday morning. Wrong. I was wrong. That was me. For sure. Excuse me. Sweat or something on his branches? Sure. DNA, something. Yeah. Yeah, Pat Brown said that he could tell that they were obviously deceased, so he didn't do any kind of checking of a carotid or a pulse or anything like that. And he did. He said he turned his back and couldn't look until he stood there in that spot, so the police knew where to come. And then whenever Giancola got up there, and he walked to him who was standing by the clothes, and the clothes kind of led right. So it was like he did what he did. And keep in mind, let's think about the clothes that were in the water. Why would you want to throw those clothes in the water? He threw all the bright color. He threw that bright colored shirt in the water. Now the shoe, I don't know. Maybe the shoe ended up in the crossing. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to come out. But he wanted that bright color off. He wanted that because if he's covering them up, that's a theory that I have. That's just a theory. No one's has done any said that yet. Sloppy on the trees, yeah. But Cryptex, I think the next you're going to see that there's going to be more. There's going to be things that we could point out and said, you should have did this, you should have did that. Absolutely. 100%. Most investigations have them. But at the end of the day, the stuff that they have and the chain of custody and how everything is going to be fine is they're going to blow out of the water a lot of these rumors. Someone came back 2 weeks later and found a bullet. We know that that isn't true. There's no blood at the crime scene. We know that that isn't true. Now, there's also going to be things from the other side that Richard Allen did this. No, he didn't. He didn't go to a crazy asylum or, whatever. That's just, it's going to pare it all down. But it makes it so interesting. And I know this is a case. This isn't our case. 9mm, the rope was used by the search team. Yeah, I thought that too, that they would have to have descending lines. When you put descending lines down, they're not that bad. Really, they're for ascending, though, right? You could slide down a hill on your butt if you have to, but them ropes are good for climbing back up, especially that time of year. The ground's going to be muddy. You get that snow melt. Thank you, Brandon. I'm getting ready to get out of here. None of this evidence discussion matters. We'll see you together soon. I agree. We and Ruckus agree on that. Even our points don't matter, but it's good to talk and it's good for people, And again, if you talk to your YouTube friends that were at the trial, whether you email them, whether they're on a live, just say, hey man, hope you're feeling okay today. Because it's mentally taxing, man. I tell you what, physical pain's one thing, but mental pain, ooh. No one who is ever human gets used to saying, no, never. You just don't. I know a lady that works at the coroner's office. My deputy chief's wife works for the Sarah Wexel office. She's at medical examiner's office. And she doesn't give me any information or any ideas or anything like that, so I don't think that. But she's talked about that before. She said it never gets old. It's yeah. A lot of restraint by victims' families. Yeah. They've showed a lot of restraint through this thing, but once this trial's over, you're going to see that restraint lifted. It's going to be lifted. Pleading out before trial. Yeah, they could still plead. They could plead out the first day, the defense, or whatever, at any time they can. Absolutely. You're right about that. The man they found, them cried in court. Yeah. Pat did, but as far as I know, Richard Allen didn't. Police are incompetent. You don't have to believe in conspiracies they're framing. Yeah, 99% incompetence, 1% conspiracy. You want to look up 1% conspiracy, Google my town. Because that's where it happened at. It's happening right now. The bullet wasn't planted. Yeah, the bullet was never planted. I never believed that. But, again, remember, the bullet isn't just one piece of evidence. It's everything together. Super cool granny, 100%. It is. It's heartbreaking on so many different levels. And we could talk about just the heartbreak it is for hours. The family, the girls, the loss of the girls, the way people treat each other, all of it's just, but there's good in there too. And you got to try to look at the good, the walks that people do, the donating, the friends that have been made, the tragedy that happened, planted seeds for lifelong friendships, man. And I mean, I hope at the end of the day, that's Libby and Abby's legacy. Hey, Randy. Tina Rodell was getting upset with the prof. I don't know if I know who Tina Rodell is, but the name sounds familiar. Talk about her and her family. Yeah, I've been talking about people's families. People have talked about my families. I've never talked about anyone's family. I've talked about them. Yeah, you know what? I mean, you need to find something like you need to have levity. And before I get out of here, Rescue Me is my favorite fire department show ever. It's the most realistic. The fire scenes, the house, the firehouse living. You see some of the worst things you're ever going to see in your life. And you get back to the station and someone makes a joke about something non-related. or man, dude, you putting on some weight, something like that. And it's a levity, and it, for a split second or a minute or two, it changes your mood and it takes your mind away from what you've been seeing. And the quote from the documentary called Burn about the Detroit Fire Department. If you're into it, firefighting and that's a great documentary. And there's an old retired guy. He's getting ready to leave, and he says, "I wish my brain could forget what these eyes have seen." And it's always there. It's always in the background. Smells. We know that olfactory is hooked up to our memory, brings it back. But just look out for your friends that were there today. Check on them, make sure they're okay. Seriously, no, are you cool, man? You want to get anything off your chest or whatever? If you communicate with your favorite people, the creators, check on them, make sure they're good. I mean, I don't even mean money wise. Hey, tough day, you good today? If they do shows later, just ask them, hey, you good? And let them come on here, and it might be good for them to talk about that and get that off their chest a little bit. And it educates us on what happened, but we knew these days were coming, and these are bad days. These are rough days, but they have to happen. It's what has to happen for this to go down. So I appreciate all you so much. I hope that I gave you some information here today. Honeybee, out of nowhere, again, 5 memberships. Honeybee is awesome. I don't know who got them, but you'll be seeing me post some stuff. Thank you so much, Honeybee. Thank you, Cryptex, for coming in. I appreciate it. Cryptex, we could always disagree or question things. I'm cool with that. I enjoy your channel, and I like your style. I do. New friendships. Yes, sir. Awesome new members. Big fish with not the Statue of Liberty. It's a snail. I hope we could laugh a little bit at the end. But again, please reach out to your people that were there in court. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lala. That sucks, Layla. Layla or Lala, like Jesus Shuttlesworth's girlfriend on He Got Game. But I appreciate you all coming, and reach out to those people. Make sure they're cool. I'm going to call my buddy Frank after this. He might be mad at me. I'm fine. But he's my guy. So I hope everyone has a great night. Do what you can. Monday Night Football, 2 games tonight, 2 pretty good ones. I'm not going to tell you my picks because I don't want you to lose money with me. So I'll leave you to it. Kyrie's coming over. It must be time to go outside. So I thank you all so much. I love you. Keep following the case. Support the people that are there in that courtroom, and check on them. Check on them. Check on your friends too. Let us take today and everything these people went through in this courtroom and not talk about Delphi. I would just check on your friends in general, your neighbors. Hey, man, you ain't been such a jack-off recently. What's wrong with you? These are things that would happen at the fire department. And then someone would say, yeah, my mom's sick, or so. Oh, shit, I didn't know. And then you go from there. Check on everybody. Hopefully everyone's all right. We're going to say tentacles, and they're starting to come out left and right. And we will see what happens in court tomorrow, but I would expect another rough day. So fingers crossed for the families and anybody in that courtroom to be able to get through there. And I thank you all for coming in. And I'm going to end it here now and say Coach Kev out.